The waiter set the leather bill folder on the table like it weighed 100 pounds. My mom didn't even look at it. She just slid it, smooth as a magician, right toward me. And before I could speak, my nephew Noah leaned over, grinning, and said loud enough for the next table to hear, "Don't worry, the backup wallet's got it." The whole table laughed like it was the cutest thing in the world. Except my chest went cold, because in that one sentence, I finally heard what my family had been saying about me when I wasn't in the room. And what I did next, I swear I felt the entire restaurant hold its breath. If you were in my shoes, what would you have done? Because I didn't reach for the bill. I pushed it back. But to understand how I ended up there, watching my own family stare at me like I'd committed a crime, you need to know how I became the wallet in the first place. It didn't start with a joke. It started with little emergencies, the kind that sound reasonable until you realize they never stop. The first time my sister Marissa called me crying, I was in my car after work, still in my office clothes, steering wheel warm under my palms. "Jamie," she sniffed, "I hate asking, but Lily needs a new laptop for school. Like, they're saying she can't do the assignments without one." "Okay," I said, already opening my banking app. "How much are we talking?" "I'll pay you back," she rushed. My rent went up and then daycare and—" "You don't have to explain." I stared at my balance and did the quick math like I always did. "Send me the link." She let out this breath like I'd saved her life. "You're literally the only one who helps, you know that?" That line stuck to me, warm and sticky. The only one who helps. I wanted to be that person, the reliable one, the steady one. My parents were always loud with love for Marissa. Not in a normal way, in a the sun rises and sets on her way. Even when we were kids, Marissa could break a lamp and somehow I'd end up apologizing for being careless. So when she became a single mom and moved back near our parents, the family story practically wrote itself. Marissa, brave. Marissa, struggling. Marissa, doing her best. And me? Jamie, stable job. No kids. Lots of extra money. That last part wasn't even true. I wasn't rich. I just didn't have chaos attached to my paycheck. At first, it was one-off things. A laptop, a field trip, groceries just for this week. Then it became patterns. Every couple of weeks, my phone would buzz with Marissa's name, and I'd feel that little pinch behind my ribs even before I answered. And if it wasn't Marissa, it was my mom. "Sweetheart," she'd say in that soft voice she used when she wanted something. "I know you're busy, but Marissa's car is making a noise. It's probably nothing, but you know how she is. She gets anxious. Could you just take care of it?" Take care of it meant pay. Sometimes she didn't even hide it. "Just put it on your card and we'll sort it out later," she'd say, like later was a real date on a calendar and not a myth. Tell me honestly, how do you say no without sounding like the villain? Because every time I hesitated, they'd hit me with the same script. It's for the kids. They're your family. You're the only one in a position to help. And my favorite, my mom's absolute masterpiece, don't make this about money. That's not who you are. Meanwhile, money was exactly what they were making it about. The kids were the only part that felt pure. Lily had this serious face when she concentrated, like a tiny professor, and Noah had that wild energy where you could practically hear his thoughts racing. When I showed up with pizza and board games, they acted like I was a celebrity. "Aunt Jamie," Noah would shout, even though I told him a million times he didn't have to announce me like that. Lily would roll her eyes and still smile. And I'd think, okay, this is worth it. They're worth it. But slowly, the vibe shifted. It happened so gradually I almost didn't notice, like the water in a pot heating until one day you realize it's boiling. The first time I heard it, I laughed because I thought it was just kid nonsense. We were at my parents' house for Sunday dinner. The smell of pot roast and onions filled the kitchen, and my dad was watching sports way too loud in the living room. Noah was on the floor with his toy cars. Lily was scrolling on her phone. Marissa leaned over to my mom and whispered something. My mom's eyes flicked to me. Then she called out, "Jamie, honey, did you bring your card?" I blinked. "For what?" My mom smiled like I'd asked a silly question. "The class fundraiser. Marissa said Lily's class is doing that thing where they sell cookie dough." Lily didn't even look up from her phone. "We need to hit the goal," she said flatly, "or we don't get the pizza party." "Okay," I said slowly. "How much are we talking?" Marissa already had the order form out. "Just put like 200? It's not even real cookies. It's like supporting the school." 200 for cookie dough. I stared at the paper, then at Lily. Lily, I said, do you even want to do this? She shrugged. It's whatever. Grandma said you'd do it. Grandma said. I looked at my mom. She was busy buttering rolls like she hadn't just volunteered my bank account. I paid. Of course I paid. But when I handed the form back, Noah looked up from his cars and said, cheerful as anything, Jamie's like the backup wallet. Marissa snorted. My dad laughed from the couch. My mom smiled like it was adorable. Backup wallet, I repeated, forcing a chuckle. What does that mean, buddy? Noah giggled. Like when Mom's wallet is empty, we use yours. Another round of laughter. I laughed too, because what else do you do when everyone's treating you like the punchline? But something in me shifted that day. Not a break, more like a crack. And cracks don't look serious until you realize how deep they go. After that, it became a nickname. Not every day, not even every week, but enough that it started to cling to me. At the grocery store, Marissa would casually toss extra stuff into the cart and say, backup wallet won't mind. At the school book fair, Lily would hold up a hardcover and say, should I just ask backup wallet? Noah would chant it like a song. And my parents encouraged it. Don't be so sensitive, my mom would say if I frowned. They're kids. It's cute. Cute. Right. Here's the part that's hard to admit. I stayed because I was scared that if I stopped, I'd lose the kids. I didn't want to be the aunt who disappeared. I didn't want Lily and Noah to grow up thinking I didn't care. So I kept paying. And every time I did, I told myself I was choosing love over pride. But eventually, love starts to feel a lot like being used. The moment it tipped from annoying to humiliating happened on my birthday. Marissa insisted we all go out to dinner as a family, and my mom made a big show of it. We're celebrating you, she said. You work so hard. You deserve it. I should have known better. The restaurant was one of those places that tries to feel fancy. Dim lights, candles on the tables, soft jazz in the background. The hostess led us to a booth. My dad complained about the lighting. My mom adjusted the napkins like she was staging a photo shoot. Marissa ordered like she was feeding a small army. Appetizers, extra sides, specialty drinks. Lily ordered the most expensive entree because it looks good on TikTok. Noah wanted dessert first and pouted when the waiter said no. I kept it light. I joked. I smiled. I told myself, it's fine. It's my birthday. I can handle one fancy meal. Then the bill came. The waiter set it down, and my mom slid it to me like a reflex. That's when Noah said it, the line I started with. Don't worry, the backup wallet's got it. And the laughter felt different this time. It wasn't just teasing. It was expectation. Like my role was so solidified, they didn't even consider another ending to the story. I stared at the bill folder. My hands were on the table, fingers curled tight enough that my knuckles ached. And my mom had the nerve to say, sweet as sugar, well, go on, honey. We don't want to keep the waiter waiting. I looked at Marissa. She didn't meet my eyes. She was stirring her drink, lips pursed like she was bored. Lily was filming a quick video of her dessert menu. Noah was swinging his legs, humming. My dad leaned back like he was already done thinking. And something in me finally snapped into clarity. Not anger, clarity. I pushed the bill folder back toward the center of the table. I'm not paying, I said. The words sounded calm, almost polite. But the silence that followed was so sharp it made my ears ring. My mom blinked like she hadn't heard me correctly. What? I'm not paying for this, I repeated, still calm. It's my birthday dinner. You said you were celebrating me. Marissa finally looked up, eyes narrowing. Are you serious right now? Yes, I said. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was trying to climb out of my throat. Yes, I'm serious. My dad scoffed. Don't be dramatic. Noah's smile faded. Lily stopped filming. My mom's voice dropped into that warning tone. Jamie, don't do this here. Do what? I asked, and my voice cracked on the edge of a laugh I didn't mean. Stop being your ATM in public? My mom's eyes flashed. You are so ungrateful. What? Marissa leaned forward. You make good money. You don't even have kids. Why are you acting like paying for dinner is a big deal? I stared at her. It's not about dinner. Then what is it about? She snapped. I glanced at Noah, at Lily. Noah looked confused. Lily looked annoyed, like I was ruining the vibe. And right there, in that candlelit booth, I realized I was having a grown-up argument in front of two kids who'd been trained to see me as a resource, not a person. So I said the thing I'd been swallowing for years. It's about the way you talk about me. It's about backup wallet. It's about you all assuming I'll pay for anything you want. My mom inhaled sharply like I'd slapped her. It was a joke, she hissed. Noah whispered, but Grandma said... My head whipped toward him. What did Grandma say? My mom cut in fast. Noah, sweetheart, not now. But Noah was 11. He didn't know how to hold secrets yet. He looked at me, wide-eyed, like he wasn't sure if he was allowed to speak. Grandma said, You have to, he mumbled, because you owe the family. I felt like the air got sucked out of my lungs. I leaned forward slowly. What do you mean I owe the family? My mom's face tightened. Noah, stop talking. Lily rolled her eyes. It's not a big mystery. Grandma says you don't help unless someone forces you. My stomach dropped. Marissa snapped. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. Jamie, just pay and we'll talk later. But I couldn't hear anything except that sentence. You don't help unless someone forces you. That's when I realized something was seriously wrong. Because I had been helping for years. So why were the kids saying I had to be forced? And what exactly had my parents been telling them? Tell me, if you heard that from a kid you loved, wouldn't it mess you up? I signaled the waiter, hands shaking. Separate checks, I said. My mom's mouth fell open. Jamie! Separate, I repeated louder. The waiter hesitated, eyes darting around. Sure. Marissa's face flushed red. You're embarrassing us. No, I said quietly. You embarrassed me, for years. I stood up, grabbed my coat, and looked down at Noah and Lily. I love you, I said, voice thick, but I'm not anyone's wallet. Then I walked out. The cold night air slapped my face and my phone started buzzing before I even reached my car. Mom, Marissa, Dad. Call after call after call. I didn't answer, because I knew if I did, they'd pull me back into the same spinning guilt machine, and I couldn't do it anymore. The next morning, I woke up with that heavy, hollow feeling like I'd swallowed a stone. My phone had 17 missed calls and a wall of texts. From my mom, how could you do that to us? From Marissa, you ruined everything. The kids were so upset. From my dad, call your mother, apologize. No apology, not one, just demands. I sat on the edge of my bed staring at the screen and I made a decision that scared me. I typed one message in the family group chat. I'm not paying for anything anymore. Do not ask. If you need to discuss the kids, we can talk. But I'm done being treated like an ATM. Then I turned my phone face down and let my hands tremble. You want to know the weird part? For about 2 hours, it was quiet. And I thought, maybe they'll cool off. Maybe they'll finally reflect. Then my mom called. I answered because she's my mom. Are you finished with your tantrum? She asked, voice ice cold. My stomach clenched. It wasn't a tantrum. You humiliated your sister, she snapped. You humiliated us in public. You humiliated me first, I said. And you've been doing it for years. My mom exhaled sharply. You are twisting this. You have always been selfish about money. I actually laughed, but it came out broken. Selfish? Mom, I've paid for their school stuff, groceries, Marissa's phone bill. Oh, please, she cut in. You act like you've carried the world on your shoulders. You throw money around to feel important. That mine hit so hard I had to grip the edge of my dresser. Is that what you've been telling the kids? I asked, voice low. That I throw money around to feel important? Silence. Then my mom said, too carefully, they don't need to know adult details. That told me everything. You told them I owe the family, I said. Why would you say that? My mom's voice softened like she was talking to a child. Jamie, you know what you were like when you were younger. My skin prickled. What I was like? You left, she said simply. You moved away. You didn't come around as much. Marissa stayed. Marissa needed us. You were off living your life. I stared at the wall, trying to process the insanity. So because I moved for work, I owe you money forever? It's not forever, she said quickly. It's just until the kids are stable. College is coming. They need support. There it was. College. That word sat between us like a threat. I swallowed. Mom, have you promised them something? My mom scoffed. Don't be dramatic. Have you promised them I'd pay for college? I pressed. Another silence. And then she said the sentence that changed everything. We told them you would do the right thing. My throat went dry. What exactly did you tell them? My mom's voice sharpened. We told them you had money set aside, that you were responsible. Responsible. Like it was my duty. I hung up without another word. And as soon as I did, my phone buzzed with a message from Lily. It was a single line. So you're just not going to help anymore? Grandma says you never wanted to anyway. I stared at it until my eyes burned. Because that wasn't Lily's voice. That was my mom's voice wearing Lily's skin. Like it was my duty. I hung up without another word. And as soon as I did, my phone buzzed with a message from Lily. It was a single line. So you're just not going to help anymore? Grandma says you never wanted to anyway. I stared at it until my eyes burned. Because that wasn't Lily's voice. That was my mom's voice wearing Lily's skin. I didn't respond right away. I couldn't. Instead, I did something I'd never done before. I opened my banking app and started scrolling. Not just glancing, scrolling. Because I suddenly realized I'd been paying so often, I'd stopped tracking it like a normal person. It was just family. It was just help. Except the numbers didn't feel like help anymore. They felt like a leak, a constant drain. $150 to Marissa, utilities. $320, braces payment. $200, fundraiser. $480, car repair. $600, rent shortfall. Over and over. I went back 6 months, then a year, then 2. My stomach turned. It wasn't a few hundred here and there. It was tens of thousands of dollars. And here's the part that made my hands go numb. Some of the charges weren't even transfers to Marissa. They were payments to a credit card I didn't recognize, a card ending in numbers I didn't know. At first, I thought maybe it was an old card of mine, but the name on the payments wasn't mine. It was my dad's. I sat back, pulse thudding in my ears. Why was I paying my dad's credit card? I tried to remember. Had they asked me to cover something and I just did it? I scrolled further. More payments. Smaller ones, like minimums. $45, $60, $80. Regular. Consistent. Like someone had set it up and I'd been doing it without realizing what it was. That can't be right, I whispered to myself. Then I remembered something. One of those little emergencies. A few years ago, my dad had said he needed help consolidating because his bank app was confusing. He'd asked me to set up autopay just temporarily because he kept forgetting. I'd done it because I was tired and he was my dad and it seemed harmless. And then I never turned it off. My stomach dropped. I wasn't just the backup wallet. I was the maintenance plan. If you're thinking, okay, but that's on you, I get it. I told myself that too. Until Noah accidentally blew up the entire story. 3 days after the restaurant, I got a screenshot from Noah. No text, just an image. It was a group chat. Not the family group chat I knew. A different one. The name at the top made my blood run cold. Backup plan. The chat members were Marissa, my mom, and my dad. And the messages? I'm telling you, my hands started shaking so hard I nearly dropped my phone. My mom. Make sure you ask Jamie this week. Don't wait. If you act stressed, they cave. Marissa. They already said no. My dad. They'll come around. They always do. My mom. Remind the kids what Jamie promised. They hate looking bad in front of them. Marissa. Lily's getting suspicious. My mom. Tell her Jamie's being selfish again. That's the truth. I stared at the screen like it was in another language. Because there it was. In black and white. They weren't asking. They were strategizing, using the kids as leverage, training them to guilt me. And then I saw the message that made my vision blur. My mom, if Jamie won't pay, we'll have to use the credit line. Frank already put Jamie down last time. We can do it again. My mouth went dry. Put me down. Where? For what? My heart started pounding like a warning siren. I called Noah immediately. He answered on the second ring, whispering like he was hiding. Aunt Jamie. Noah, I said, forcing my voice steady. Where did you get this? I didn't mean to, he rushed. My mom left her phone on the counter and it lit up and I thought it was mine because it said backup and... You did nothing wrong, I said quickly. Listen to me. You did nothing wrong, okay? He sniffed. Am I in trouble? No, I said. But I need you to do one thing for me. What? Can you tell me? What does Grandma say I promised? Noah hesitated. I could hear his breathing. Then he said, small and uncertain, she said, you promised to take care of us if Mom messed up. Like, you're the safety net. The safety net. Backup wallet. Backup plan. It all snapped together like a trap closing. I swallowed hard. Did I ever tell you that? No, he whispered. Grandma just said you did. And Mom said it too. And what else did Grandma say about me? I asked, even though my chest hurt. Noah went quiet. Then, like he hated the words, he said, You're guilty because you weren't around when Mom needed help, so you pay so you don't feel bad. I closed my eyes because I suddenly understood why Lily's text sounded like my mom. They'd built a whole story about me, a story where I was selfish and less forced, a story where I owed them, a story where my money wasn't generosity, it was payment for my sins, and the kids believed it. I ended the call with Noah gently, promised him he wasn't in trouble, and then I did the first truly strategic thing I'd done in years. I stopped reacting emotionally, and I started gathering proof. Because I knew something important. If I confronted them with feelings, they'd drown me in guilt. But if I confronted them with facts, facts don't cry. Facts don't apologize. Facts don't fold. That night, I printed bank statements. I took screenshots of transfer. I changed every password. Then I called the credit card company listed on the report. The woman on the phone sounded bored until I said, I didn't open this account. Her tone changed instantly. Ma'am, sir, can you confirm? I can confirm it wasn't me, I said, and the billing address isn't mine. She asked questions. I answered. My voice stayed calm even though my hands were sweating. Then she said, We'll open a fraud investigation. Fraud, a word I never thought would be attached to my family. When I hung up, I sat in silence for a long time, because here was the fork in the road. One path was the old me. Swallow it, cover it, keep the peace. The other path was terrifying. Face it, expose it, risk losing them. Tell me, what would you choose? I chose the path that let me sleep at night. The next day, I met with an attorney. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted protection. I walked into a small office that smelled like coffee and paper, and I laid everything on the table, literally. Bank statements, screenshots, credit report. The attorney, a woman with sharp eyes and a calm voice, scanned the documents and then looked up at me. You understand, she said carefully, that if you report identity theft, this can become criminal. I understand, I said, throat tight. And these are your parents? I nodded. She leaned back. Then I'm going to tell you something you might not want to hear. I braced. People like this, she said, tapping the screenshot of the backup plan chat. Don't stop because you ask nicely. My stomach clenched. She continued. They stop when there are consequences. Consequences. I left her office with a plan. Not a wish, not a hope. A plan. Step 1. Cut off every financial pipeline. Step 2. Confront them once with documentation and set boundaries. Step 3. Protect the kids without being exploited. Because the kids were innocent in the middle of a mess they didn't build. 2 nights later, my mom called again. I let it ring. Then my dad called. I let it ring. Then Marissa called, and this time I answered. What? I said. You've made the kids cry, she snapped immediately. Congrats. I closed my eyes. Marissa, I'm not doing this. You're not doing what? Helping? She laughed bitterly. Must be nice to finally show your true colors. My true colors? I repeated, incredulous. You literally have a group chat called Backup Plan. Silence. Long, dead silence. Then, quietly, she said, Noah sent you that? She said, suddenly softer. It was a joke. It's just how we talk. You're taking it. It's not a joke if you're using it to manipulate children. I cut in. And it's not a joke if Dad opened credit in my name. Her breath caught. Wait, she said, voice thin. What? So she didn't know about that part. Interesting. You didn't know? I asked. and my anger sharpened into cold clarity. You didn't know Dad used my information to open accounts? No, she stammered. Jamie, I swear I didn't. Then listen carefully, I said. I'm coming over tomorrow. All of you. Living room. Noon. If you're not there, I'm filing the police report and letting the fraud investigators do whatever they do. Her voice shook. You can't do that. I can, I said, and I will. Then I hung up. The next day I drove to my parents' house with my evidence folder on the passenger seat like it was a weapon. My palms were slick on the steering wheel. The sky was gray and heavy, and the neighborhood looked too normal for what I was about to do. When I walked in, my mom was already pacing. My dad sat in his recliner like it was any other Sunday. Marissa stood by the window, arms crossed, jaw tight. The kids weren't there.
Of course they weren't. My mom wanted to control the narrative without witnesses. I didn't sit. I placed the folder on the coffee table and opened it. I'm going to speak, I said, and you're going to listen. My dad scoffed. Oh, here we go. I pulled out the credit report first and slid it toward him. What's this? He grumbled, but his eyes flicked down. My mom's face tightened. Jamie, what are you doing? Showing you what you did, I said. My dad stared at the report, then looked up slowly. This is nothing. It's not nothing, I said. There are accounts opened with my identity. They trace back to your address. Explain. My mom stepped forward, hands out, like she could physically stop the words. We were going to tell you. When? I snapped. After it ruined my credit. After I got sued for debt I didn't create. Marissa's eyes darted between them. Dad, what is she talking about? My dad's jaw worked like he was chewing a lie. It was just to help the family, he said finally. We were in a tight spot. A tight spot, I repeated, voice shaking with rage now. So you committed fraud? My mom jumped in. Don't use that word. It's the word the credit card company used, I said, and I slid the printed screenshot of backup plan across the table. My mom froze. Marissa grabbed it first, scanning the messages. Her face drained of color. Oh my God, she whispered. Mom, Dad, you. My mom's voice rose, panicked now. You don't understand. We were trying to keep things stable. For the kids. For the kids, I echoed bitterly. You mean the kids you've been feeding lies to? My mom's eyes flashed. We didn't lie. You told them I don't help unless I'm forced, I said. You told them I owe you. You told them I promised to pay for college. My mom's lips parted, but no sound came out. My dad tried to stand, face red. We didn't say. No, I thought. You did worse. You built a whole identity for me that served you. I pulled out the bank statements next and spread them out across the table like cards. These are payments to your credit card, I said, pointing. These are transfers to Marissa. This is me paying for things you took credit for, while telling the kids I'm selfish. My mom's eyes filled with tears, but they weren't the soft kind. They were angry tears. You always think you're better than us, she hissed. That was her real truth. Not the kids, not the money. Me stepping out of my assigned role. Marissa looked sick. You guys named a chat backup plan, she whispered to them. You told the kids to manipulate Jamie. Marissa snapped. Don't act innocent, Marissa. You benefited. Marissa flinched. I watched my sister's face, how she tried to deny, then tried to justify, then finally couldn't. And here came the major twist I didn't even know I needed. My dad, cornered, spat. Fine. We told them you owe the family because you were supposed to help more, because your grandmother left money. I went still. What? My mom's head whipped toward him. Frank. He kept going, like the truth had finally broken loose. Your grandmother left you something, and you've been sitting on it while Marissa struggles. My blood ran cold. My grandmother, I whispered. Grandma Ruth? My mom's face was tight with fury now, not at him, at me. Don't pretend you don't know. I don't know, I said, voice shaking. What are you talking about? My dad gestured wildly. The will. The house. The will, I repeated, and my stomach dropped so hard it felt like falling. Grandma Ruth died 3 years ago. I'd cried at the funeral. I'd held my mom's hand. I'd listened to my parents talk about how everything was handled. Handled. I stared at them. Did Grandma leave me money? My mom's eyes flashed, and she said the sentence that explained everything. She left you responsibility. That word again. Responsible. My heart pounded. What did she leave me? My dad looked away. Marissa whispered, Mom, what did Grandma leave Jamie? And my mom finally said it. She left the house to Jamie, she snapped, like it was an accusation. Because she thought you were stable. Because she thought you'd do the right thing and share it. My legs went weak. What? I breathed. Marissa's mouth fell open. What are you saying? My mom's voice was sharp, bitter. Your grandmother left the house to Jamie, not us, not you, Jamie. And we didn't tell you because Jamie would have held it over us. I could barely hear through the roaring in my ears. Grandma Ruth's little brick house, the one with the creaky steps and the lemon tree in the backyard. She left it to me, and they'd hidden it. And while hiding it, they told the kids I owed them. They'd used a secret inheritance as emotional blackmail. You told the kids I promised to pay for college, I said slowly, feeling like my voice came from far away. Because you assumed you could guilt me into giving me Grandma's house. My mom's eyes glittered with anger. It's family property. It was Grandma's, I said, and she chose.
My dad muttered, We were going to work it out. By committing fraud? I snapped. Marissa looked like she might faint. So you hid this from me too? My mom turned on her. Don't start. You already have enough. Marissa's eyes filled with tears. Real ones this time. Enough? I've been struggling. And do you think Jamie hasn't been paying? I shot back. I've been propping up this entire family. My mom's voice rose. Because you're supposed to. You don't have kids. You don't have real responsibilities. And there it was. The core belief. My life didn't count as real, so my money didn't count as mine. I stood up straighter, even though my hands were shaking. Here's what's going to happen, I said, voice low and steady. My dad scoffed. Oh, listen to the lawyer talk. You're right, I said. I did talk to a lawyer. My mom's face went pale. I pulled out the attorney's letter, already printed, already signed. I froze my credit, I said. Fraud investigations are open. If I choose to escalate, you will deal with the consequences of what you did. My dad's bravado flickered. My mom whispered, Jamie, don't do this. I'm also filing to access Grandma Ruth's will, I continued. If the house is legally mine, I'm taking control of it. Not for you, not for Marissa, for me. Marissa choked out. Jamie. I held up a hand. Wait, because this was the power reclaim moment, and I wasn't going to waste it on emotion. I looked at my sister. I love your kids, I said. I always have, and I'm not punishing them for what you and Mom and Dad did. My mom latched onto that like a lifeline. See, you can't just abandon them. I'm not abandoning them, I cut in, but I'm also not paying you anymore. I turned to Marissa. If Lily and Noah need something, school supplies, a class fee, a medical bill, you talk to me directly. You show me the invoice, I pay the school or the provider, not you. Marissa looked stunned. You don't trust me. I don't, I said simply. Not with money, not after this. My mom gasped like I'd slapped her again. And one more thing, I said, voice tightening. You will stop poisoning the kids against me. You will stop calling me selfish. You will stop telling them I owe the family. My mom's eyes blazed. Or what? Or I'll show them the truth, I said. Everything. The chat, the fraud, the will, all of it. The room went dead silent. My dad stared at me like he was seeing me for the first time. Marissa's shoulders sagged, like the weight of reality finally landed. And my mom looked terrified, because controlling the story was her favorite weapon. and I'd just taken it away. I left their house with my knees shaking, but my spine straighter than it had been in years. In my car, I sat with my hands on the steering wheel and just breathed. Because I didn't feel victorious. I felt grief. For the family I thought I had. For the trust I'd handed out like free samples. And for the kids, who were about to realize the adults they relied on had been using them. A week passed with tense silence. Then Lily texted me. Not a guilt message, not a demand. Just, can we talk? My heart pounded. I said yes immediately. We met at a little cafe near her school, the kind with bright windows and 2 sweet pastries. Lily walked in with her backpack still on, eyes guarded. She slid into the seat across from me and didn't order anything. For a minute, we just sat there, listening to the hiss of the espresso machine. Then she said, voice flat, "Grandma says you're trying to take our house." "Our house," she said. "Not Grandma's house. Not my parents' house. Ours." I swallowed. "Lily, I'm not taking your home. You don't even live there." She frowned, confused. "But Grandma said—" "I know what Grandma said," I interrupted gently. "And I need you to hear me, okay? Not Grandma. Me." Lily's jaw tightened. "Okay." I took a breath. "I've been paying for a lot of things for a long time." She rolled her eyes slightly. "Yeah, you always remind everyone." That stung, but I stayed calm. "I'm not reminding you to brag," I said. "I'm telling you because you were told a story about me that isn't true." Lily stared at me. "What story?" "That I only help if I'm forced," I said. "That I owe them. That I promised things I never promised." Her eyes flickered, uncertainty cracking through. "Grandma said you feel guilty." "I feel sad," I corrected softly. "Sad that the people who were supposed to love me taught you to see me as a wallet." Lily's cheeks flushed. "We were kidding." "Were you?" I asked gently. "Or did you believe it?" She looked down at the table, fingers picking at a napkin. I leaned forward. "Lily, I love you. I love Noah. I would never want you to struggle, but I will not be manipulated anymore, and I won't let anyone use you to manipulate me." She whispered, "Mom said you're mad at us." "I'm not mad at you," I said quickly. "I'm mad at the adults who put you in the middle."
Lily blinked fast, and for the first time, she looked like a kid again instead of a tiny grown-up. "So, you're not paying for college?" she asked, voice small. There it was, the promise they'd planted. I shook my head slowly. "I never promised that, and I'm sorry you were told I did." Her face tightened like she was trying not to cry. "But Grandma said you have money set aside, for us." I swallowed. "Grandma should never have told you that." Lily whispered, "So what happens now?" I took a breath. This part mattered. "I can't promise you a free ride," I said honestly, "but I can promise you something more important." She looked up. "I'll help you learn how to apply for scholarships," I said. "I'll help you plan. I'll help you make choices that don't leave you drowning in debt. And if I choose to contribute to something, it will be because I want to, not because someone forced me." Lily stared at me, and then, in a voice that broke my heart, she said, "Grandma said you don't love us. You just like being the hero." My throat tightened. I reached across the table, not touching her, just close enough to show I was there. "Lily," I said softly, "if I wanted to be the hero, I would have stayed quiet and kept paying, and let them keep praising themselves for raising you right." Her eyes widened slightly. "I didn't do this because I hate anyone," I said. "I did it because I finally respected myself." Lily's lip trembled. And then she nodded, once, small. "Okay," she whispered. 2 days later, Noah called me from a friend's phone because his mom took his. He whispered, "Aunt Jamie, Grandma's mad." "I know," I said gently. "Are you in trouble?" he asked. I almost laughed. "Nobody. I'm handling adult stuff." He paused. "Are we still allowed to see you?" That question nearly crushed me. "Yes," I said instantly. "Always. You don't need permission to love someone." He sniffed. "Can you still come to my game?" My eyes burned. "Yes." And I did.
I showed up to his little soccer game with a folding chair and a coffee, and when he scored, pure accident, but still, he looked straight at me in the crowd like he needed to confirm I was real. I waved, and he grinned so wide it made my chest ache. My parents didn't come over. Marissa barely looked at me, but the kids did, and that was the point. Over the next few months, the power balance shifted in ways I didn't expect. My mom tried every tactic. She cried, she raged, she sent long texts about family values. She even showed up at my apartment once, unannounced, with that fake, calm voice. "You're really going to destroy this family over paperwork?" she asked, sitting on my couch like she owned it. "Not paperwork," I said, steady. "Lies, manipulation, fraud." Her nostrils flared. "You always were dramatic." I smiled a little, tired and sad. "And you always needed me to be the problem so you could be the hero." She stared at me like I'd spoken a language she couldn't understand. Because she couldn't. People who live on control don't know what to do with boundaries. As for the fraud investigation, yes, it got real. The credit card company kept calling. Letters came. My attorney handled most of it. In the end, I gave my parents a choice through my lawyer: cooperate fully, close the accounts, repay what they could, and sign legal agreements that they would never use my identity again, or I would press charges. They hated it. They called me cruel. They called me heartless. But you know what they didn't call me anymore? The backup. Because backup implies you're optional. And suddenly, I wasn't available. The will situation? That took longer. But eventually, I got the official documents. Grandma Ruth really had left the house to me. Not as a family asset, not as a group project. To me. And reading her words, her actual words, felt like a hand reaching across time. Like she'd seen something no one else admitted. I didn't kick my parents out. They didn't live there. But I did take control, legally and emotionally. I rented it out for a while, and I put the money into a separate account. Not my parents' account, not Marissa's, mine. And here's what I did that made me feel like I could breathe again. I started a small education fund for Lily and Noah that only I controlled. Not because I owed it, because I wanted to love them in a way that didn't destroy me, and because I didn't trust the adults around them to do right by them. Marissa, for a while, acted like I'd betrayed her. She'd show up late to Noah's games if I was there. She'd drop passive comments like, "Must be nice to have money." But eventually, something changed. One afternoon, she called me, not crying, not yelling, just quiet. I didn't know about the credit.
"I'm trying to figure things out." "Good," I said, "because I'm done figuring them out for you." There was a pause. Then she said, small, "The kids miss you." "I miss them too," I said. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't ask for money. She just said, "Okay." My parents still tell their version of the story, I'm sure. In their version, I'm the ungrateful child who turned on family. In their version, boundaries are betrayal. But the kids? The kids started seeing cracks in the story. Lily got older, sharper. She started noticing how Grandma's help always came with strings. Noah started asking questions that made adults uncomfortable. And one day, months later, Noah hugged me before he ran onto the field and whispered, "I don't call you that anymore." "What?" I asked. He looked up, serious. "Backup wallet." My throat tightened. "Okay." He grinned. "You're just Aunt Jamie." I sat in my car after that game and cried. Not because I'd won, but because I'd finally stopped paying for the right to be loved. My life got quieter after I cut them off. My bank account stopped leaking. My stomach stopped twisting every time my phone buzzed. I started taking trips without guilt. I started sleeping through the night. I started feeling like my kindness belonged to me again. And the craziest part? Once I wasn't funding everyone's chaos, I could actually show up for the kids emotionally, not as a wallet, as a person. If there's one thing I learned, it's this. People who benefit from your lack of boundaries will always call your boundaries selfish. But selfishness isn't saying no. Selfishness is teaching children to use love as leverage. So yeah, my sister's kids called me the backup wallet. I stopped paying. And I found out my parents had been telling them I owed the family
while hiding an inheritance and using my identity like it was community property. I didn't burn the world down. I just stepped out of the role they wrote for me, and suddenly they had to face the mess they'd been dumping in my lap. So I'll ask you what I asked myself in that restaurant, when the bill slid toward me like it was my destiny. If you were in my shoes, would you forgive them? Or would you walk away like I did? Because here's my mic drop truth. I didn't lose a family. I lost a scam with matching last names.